Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Goldfinger, the third James Bond film, directed by Guy Hamilton, and 1964. So Goldfinger is one of the most, if not the most iconic, most popular Bond films of all time. And after rewatching it, I can see how some people regard this as the best Bond film. It really is. It's a great film. And this was definitely a turning point. It is really, I can see how it's really the Bond film where it became a true franchise. All the elements of a franchise. A true blockbuster were there. So the pre-title sequence, maybe the best in the Bond series. Just stunning. Everything that's great about Bond. It's kind of pulled off perfectly within that pre-title sequence. The action, the humour, the one-liners, which would become quite prominent in the franchise, and leading on to the actual title sequence, which is probably, for me it's the best Bond intro titles, and one of the best in film, I would say. Just stunning, elegant, great theme playing. And the way it's choreographed and the way you see the characters in the film within the woman, it's just really something. The title theme is sung by Shirley, who would go on to do Diamonds Are Forever, Moonraker as well. But I definitely think this is their best one. The plot, so it's a lot more simpler this time than From Russia with Love. Bond is sent to investigate Uruk Goldfinger, who's basically a gold smuggler, and eventually he comes to realise that Goldfinger plans to raid Fort Knox and bring chaos to the economy. So it's kind of that simple sort of villain trying to take over in some way. He's trying to commit the crime of the century, and the way the plot unfolds is such a great pace. It may be simple, but the way it's told is so entertaining. It just unfolds perfectly, for me anyway. And the pace, it takes time to establish the villains, and the Bond girl. I especially remember the golf course scene, which was just, one of my favourite scenes in the film. Just, the humour and everything as well. And, the dramatic irony in there. Really, really, really good. And throughout the film, it blends action, humour, and plot just perfectly. Kind of like From Russia with Love, but this is more. It's definitely got a lot more humour in it. It's more tongue in cheek, you could say. And Sean Connery returns once again, of course. And he's just he plays. It's a different Bond than From Russia with Love, but just as good really the way he plays it. He's more wisecracking in this one. Doesn't take things quite as seriously, but the tone of the film is that it's more tongue in cheek. It's not as much as a pure thriller like From Russia with Love was. And the Bond girl, played by Blackman, Pussy Galore, brilliant. One of the best Bond girls for me. And of course the villain Gert Frobe. Of course, maybe the most iconic villain in the Bond films. Along with Jaws, you could say. But he was more of a side villain. And speaking of side villains, Harold Sakata, who plays Oddjob, maybe just as good as Goldfinger himself. Just he doesn't speak really in the film, but the way he portrays the character, just how charming he is, but also really menacing in that, and his gimmick, the hat throw, it's just really, really well done. And used to great effects throughout the film. And the action in this film, once again, great action here. It's bigger scale than the previous Bonds, but I heard that the budget on this film was just as much as the previous two combined. So they had bigger set pieces, but it didn't feel like it lost that personal touch as well. And it was still really visceral, especially the hand to hands, towards the end especially. I won't ruin, but there's a great fight, hand-to-hand sequence, and as I said before, this is the first one really that it kind of kicks off Bond as a franchise. But the things to note is really, it doesn't feel bloated. It doesn't feel like there's an overuse of gadgets like some of the other later Bond films would do. But it's. I think it's just because it's so original that it's iconic, I suppose. And it doesn't suffer from dumb scripts as well, like some of the later ones in the franchise. It finds the perfect balance between the action, the plot, and the humour, and just that hero versus villain story really. And for me, Goldfinger is it's another masterpiece. It's up there from Russia of Love. It's definitely one of the best Bonds. And it's a different take. It's more humorous. It's bigger scale. Bigger set pieces. But the quality is it's very even. If you compare the two. And as I said, it's this is where Bond really began to be a franchise, and from then on, every Bond film would try and do it bigger and better, but maybe one or two of them succeeded, but most of them did. They didn't quite live up to Goldfinger. They tried to go too over the top, I think, but really here's the perfect mix for all of the elements of Bond. For me, I'll have to give it 100% plus, tier 3. So great film. One of my favourites. It's not just one of the best action films. I think it's among the best films. Just because it's a blockbuster, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not like one of the best films. For me, one of my favourites. And really couldn't fault it. So thanks for watching my review. Next up will be Thunderball. So I look forward to that, and thanks for watching.